Welcome to the rest of the news. Our special guest today is Ed Holloway, who's retired state representative. He's ready to help us with this. And if we could, we'd like to try to show you some, or I guess it's going to be a sound. Let's see what happens. This is the sound of a video by Trevor Loudon. And he's talking about subversion.
In America, almost all major Antifa violence has occurred in cities where the police are reined in by far-left, Democrat-controlled city councils. Boston, New York, Washington, D.C., Charlottesville, Virginia, Portland, Oregon, Oakland, San Francisco, Berkeley, California. We found evidence of considerable Antifa-Democrat interaction. Sometimes the ties are personal.
Among those Joy says committed crimes, Linwood Cain, the son of former Democratic Party vice presidential nominee Tim Kaine. Linwood Cain will have to appear in court to face charges for fleeing on foot and obstructing the legal process.
Linwood Cain fought the police and had to be restrained with a chemical spray. In some cities, Antifa has actually penetrated the Democratic Party. In Orlando, Florida, Dylan Tyre leads the Antifa group Knights for Socialism, which is completely controlled by America's largest Marxist organization, Democratic Socialists of America. Dylan Tyre serves on the local DSA Executive Committee. His chairman, Adam Whitmer, doubles as a field director for the Florida Democratic Party. Often, Antifa is funded and trained by Democratic Party allied labor unions. Such is the case in Portland, Oregon.
When we were in Portland, there was actually Antifa training that was happening Saturday before the rally in Portland on Sunday. There were posters planted all around Portland that our guys got pictures of. They wanted me to go in, and we were going to try to send a couple of our people in there just to find out what they're doing. And I was willing to do it. I said, okay, but I didn't make it in time. So they tried to send a couple other people that I know in there. Immediately, they were stopped before they could even get up the driveway. What's interesting is that the training happened at the union. Yes, it was going on there. And then one of the Antifa people, of course, they all have bandanas on their face, so you can't see who it is. He said he wanted to make it known that not only did they own that building, but they owned 3 or 4 blocks all around there, that our guys needed to get out of there right now. Very organized. It was very, very organized. It wasn't a cheap-looking building. It was very nice. When I saw the pictures, that's not college kids just protesting. There's money behind these people. Lots of money.
Okay. Now, there's lots of money. It was a lady talking. Lots of money behind the Antifa.
Exactly.
He goes into this. He says the Antifa started, well, it's always been a communist organization. And it started when Hitler was coming to power. It was the communists trying to stop Hitler, but Hitler overcame them. And so they joined Hitler and became another totalitarian organization backing Hitler. And he's saying that's what they're doing here in America, is that they're communist organization with lots of violence, and he says they're well funded by the Democratic Party.
Well, primarily, one of the major contributors is Soros.
Yes.
And Soros has been involved in this, a lot of things, because he wants to create the chaos.
Yes.
And he's actually and been noted to know that he will support both sides of an issue just to accelerate the violence and everything connected with it. So there's a lot of things that are going on, have been for a long time, and it's just reaching a larger audience now. And this is where we were responsible as individual citizens to making sure we keep on top of what's going on and understand it and do everything we can to protect ourselves and this country.
Exactly, exactly. This shows you that the Antifa is supported by the Democrat unions and by big Democrat money. They own blocks and blocks of material. A lot of that money is coming from George Soros.
Well, a lot of these things are going back to where the left-wing parties and all those took control of the Democratic Party. Any similarity between the Democratic Party that used to be and what it is now is purely coincidental.
Right.
Only in the name only. And they've done that to several different levels.
Let's look at the next segment now.
Why are we seeing this violent, communistic sort of activity today when it's no longer supposed to be a problem?
Because while the Soviet Union fell, right, Berlin Wall came down, sure, that all happened. But the ideology of communism, the ideology of sort of those people in the 70s that you mentioned were out there in the streets, from a great part of the United States, certainly in the Democrat Party, those people that were out there in the 70s, Bill Ayers comes to mind, are now tied to the highest levels of the Democrat Party, the highest levels of the U.S. Senate, the highest levels of the U.S. Congress. They find themselves in many places. George Soros, Wall Street, a billionaire, having this amount of money tied to those ideologies, even though, okay, the government, the infrastructure of the Soviet Union fell, certainly, but the ideology of communism was not defeated.
While researching the funding of these radical groups, I came across information from the Capital Research Center. $50,000 was channeled to refuse fascism through the Communist Party-aligned Alliance for Global Justice.
They received a $50,000 grant, which if you trace it back through sort of a liberal group, then a progressive group, then a globalist group, it actually goes back to the Open Society Foundation and George Soros. It's funny because it's almost like getting a game of whack-a-mole with George Soros.
Right. That's exactly what you said, Ed, that George Soros, it may go through 2 or 3 organizations before it gets to the communists, but he's in there pushing millions of dollars into the communist movement in America today.
Right. And it all has to do with the one world order.
Right,
and,
right.
This is an ironic thing because when the World Trade Center was destroyed, they've built a new building and they're going to call it the One World Trade Center. Another example of that.
Is that right? They're going to actually build one calling it that?
Yeah, that's a replacement. It's going to be the One World Trade Center. And this is the kind of thing that they've been doing for a long, long time, and they keep trying. And it goes back at even our political parties and others going back to the formation of the United Nations. All of those things were in order to create the one world order, and so that we'd always be in peace and all that. It's a completely ridiculous concept that it never has been. There's been 14,000 wars since the early days of civilization. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands. So it's an ingrained part of human nature that goes back to our primitive roots.
Well, they think they're going to be in control of the one world government. There's a lot of fighting. It's interesting to me that the Bible predicts that there's going to be a one world government under the Antichrist. And so they're really kind of fulfilling prophecy when they say, oh, yeah, we're going to have a one world government.
This is the kind of thing that we have to be completely aware of constantly.
Yeah.
Happening at every level.
He's going into this idea that the Muslims and the communists are 2 aspects of the same thing. They're working together.
Exactly. And that goes back to an old Arab proverb that says, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So you will combine your efforts and at the same time you'll deal with each other separately when the time comes.
Absolutely. So they're all working together to bring America down because America won't fit in the one world government because it's too strong and we've got a constitution and all those things. They hate that. Okay, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. We're going to record this program so that all of this information that's coming over Facebook and over the radio will be on the DVD so you can show it to your relatives, your friends, your neighbors, your people in Sunday school, your people at work, and get the word out of what's going on in America and who's doing it and what we need to do about it. So we're going to try one more clip out of this DVD.
You remember when the used to go after terrorist groups. They shut down the Weather Underground. They smashed the Black Panther Party. They reduced the Ku Klux Klan to a shadow of its former self. Why aren't the authorities going after today's terrorist group? Why aren't they going after Antifa? Antifa is at war with your government. Why aren't your authorities
doing anything about it? Okay, so there you have some of the issues of today. That first part was an Antifa rally in Berkeley, California, and they were saying no Trump, no wall, no USA at all, which I think kind of summarizes where they're coming from and what they're trying to do.
You know, the ironic part is that the part of that group and one of the leaders out in the front was a CNN reporter that shows where the media is and all of these efforts that are coming down.
The media is bought and paid for by the Democrat Party and all of these anti-American groups.
Well, all the liberal media, classic example is what's going on in Venezuela. A socialist government that's a total failure. There's a revolution going on and all that, and it's not being reported.
Right.
No discussion of Venezuela on the nightly news.
Absolutely. And there are people that don't even have enough to eat.
It's happening with the medical and everything else. It's a total disaster.
And it was because they instituted a socialist government.
Total socialist government. They're very close to what Cuba was under Castro's and all the rest of that. And they've tried this time and time again. It's been a total failure everywhere, and it will be here if it ever gets to this stage.
Well, that's right. And a lot of the young people voted for Bernie Sanders.
For that reason, yeah.
Because they're being brainwashed in the colleges and also in the high schools.
And they're starting at grade school now.
Look at North Korea as opposed to South Korea. They're the same, one right next to the other. But North Korea, people are starving to death because it's a socialist.
And there's something else that's ironic is that they're using slaves. North Korean slaves are being rented to construction operations all around the world. Half of the construction going on in Saudi Arabia is doing by Korean workers that the government has loaded on ships and sent there, and they work off of these troop ships, but they're on lease from North Korea.
That's
like
amazing.
Slaves.
That's
and
amazing.
Nobody reports that.
Well, the news media are bought and paid for by the Democrat Party and the left-wingers.
That was the thing about it that we mentioned before, that the Democratic Party is not
at all
a name only.
Yeah.
And it's been taken over by the socialists. It goes back to as far as the 40s when the UN and the rest of it, because they wanted a world order.
And the last segment of that video, it says, why isn't the FBI locking up people like Soros and the Antifa and all of these terrorist organizations like they did the Ku Klux Klan and all of that?
One of the things that people don't realize that for the last 30 or 40 years, the appointments by government to the judges on the benches.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the kind of convictions. We're getting people released back on the street. All of these things are a part of this overall movement that's been going on for a long time. And the judicial bodies will throw out those cases and all of that. And they've taken the legal entity to such a level that it's like trying to unscramble an egg.
Well, now, if you want to call in and be on the program, the number to call is 571-0970. 571-0970. We'd like to hear from you. Like I say, we're going to record all of this and put it on a DVD. And if you want a copy of it, just give us a call right now, 895-5025. 895-5025. It's free. We'll get it right out to you. You can show it in your Sunday school class, in your neighborhood. Sometimes we say a $1 package of fudge will change the world, because if you bring that in and bring your neighbors over to eat the fudge and show them the video, just like all these other miracles, we can have another miracle to turn America around. So give us a call. And I've been trying to figure out where this guy, Stephen Paddock, is coming from, going on the internet. And it appears now that David Horowitz, who is a leader in the conservative movement and was a communist himself, came from a communist family before he saw the light and converted to freedom. And the other is Pamela Geller, who is another leading voice in the pro-American movement. They both seem to think that Stephen Paddock converted to Islam, and that's part of the reason why he went on this shooting spree.
Well, this is one of the problems with trying to uncover some of the things, because you go back to where the largest organization that made the most visits to the White House under the Obama administration was the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right.
And one of the efforts that was involved was they took over with the Obama administration over to the FBI and had all references in the training manual removed of anything to do with Islam, because they felt it was Islamic phobia.
Yeah.
And this is it. The FBI has nothing that they can do is say about anything connected with Islam. So that makes their effort, the individual effort of an individual FBI agent, makes it extremely hard to tie the connections.
We don't want to just talk about one problem after another, because we have the answer. The answer is on this bumper sticker. Okay, it says, "Together under God, invincible." We're on all over the world right now on Facebook streaming. Okay, so I just want to show everybody what's the answer to all these problems. And the answer is, together under God, we're invincible. These will be free if you call in right now. We'll send them out to you free. The number to call is 895-50-25. 895-50-25. Call right now. Join the movement to take America back. We need you, and the movement needs you. And with God's help, we can take our country back, but it's going to take all of us. Give us a call right now, and we'll get your free packet of material out to you, and you can join the movement to take America back. Ed, I got this letter a couple of days ago from Matt Staver, who is with Liberty Counsel, and he says, that goes right along with what we've been talking about, that Amazon, Facebook and YouTube and Norton Software and PayPal and CNN are all, and Apple, they're all backing up the Southern Poverty Law Center and saying anybody that's pro-America, pro-family is a hate group.
Exactly.
See? And it turns out that this group has put $67 million in a secret offshore account, which means that they are doing something illegal with it usually. They are all working together to try to put the pro-family, pro-America movement out of business.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what we were just listening to with the Antifa and all of these people. In other words, the big business operation in Silicon Valley is also working together.
And they've been part of that one world movement and all that, because
unbelievable
their business and all that. And there's sometimes that between the movement for profit and all of those and greed takes over. But another thing that's been bothering me as a veteran is the attack on the military and the Christians.
Absolutely.
The founding of the United States military under George Washington, chaplains have shared their faith and ministry and the spiritual needs of soldiers since the beginning. And now it's under attack. And they're thinking now that a case where the Defense Department has been moving to treat the vital work of a military chaplain as a crime punishment by court-martial and possible imprisonment. Those are the kind of things that's going on right now. And it all started, again, like we've talked before, about under the Obama administration.
Yes.
And Obama himself had no use for Christians and Christian values.
Right.
And it's his people that he has put in the bureaucratic structure of the Defense Department that is now seriously harming both Christians and the military in a single blow. And this is something else that's been happening. Although he's no longer in office, those appointments at every level, and this is what the Trump administration is finding, that all the way back to all these things that he's been putting into those slots, it's impossible for him to do the kind of cleaning of the swamp that he'd like to do. It's extremely difficult, and it's an ongoing battle. But the attack, and every veteran ought to be out there talking about this, and with their VFW and the American Legion, all of those are aware, and then make sure, because it's a trick on Christianity at every level now.
Would you say that's what they call the deep state?
Exactly.
These are bureaucrats that were appointed by Obama that are hanging around and still trying to be anti-America, shut down the military, or at least the chaplains. So that's another thing that we're working against. And all of these big businesses like PayPal, Norton Security Software, YouTube, Facebook, other high-tech services here, CNN, Symantec, which also owns LifeLock, they're pushing all that. And here's Apple donated $1 million to this Southern Poverty Law Center. So that's the kind of thing that we're up against. And then the Southern Poverty Law Center turns right around and puts $67 million into a secret offshore account. So that means it's a slush fund that they can use for anything that they want, including illegal things. So we need to work together to get this cleaned up. Someone called in and wanted to know where our website is. It's afaofky.org. AFA stands for American Family Association, so it's afaofky.com. And then if you want to tune into our Facebook live streaming, so all you have to do there is go to Frank G. Simon. That should open it up to our Facebook. Ed, here's an article that I downloaded. It said, The Hill CBS executive fired after saying Las Vegas victims don't deserve sympathy.
Yeah. Well, there was another thing of that. One of the first time I've seen that an actual news media took some positive action.
Yeah.
But the actual summit that really irritated me was that the gunman that injured killed 59 people and 520 or more were shot. These were fans, country music fans are often just Republican gun toters.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the thing Oh,
she said that too, didn't she?
That was exactly her direct quote that went out across all of the Facebook and all the rest of the things.
Yeah.
So that was she was a little too far off.
That tells you where the media is coming from.
Right. And the individual reporters and all those have gone through the liberal process of the training schools. And I talked to a fellow in Missouri, said that University of Missouri's communication school, where a lot of these people are trained, is made up totally of students that are left-wingers.
Yeah.
And the faculty is all of that too. And so you get that kind of thing, and then people that go into the media are starting from that base of a liberal left-wing concept of everything.
Of course, you and I are paying for it. These state universities are paid for by tax paying. A lot of it is anyway.
We've had a classic example is the University of Louisville right here, and what they've gone through and what they're still going through in trying to unscramble the long train of the corruption that's been going on for a long time.
This lady said she was not sympathetic to the victims of the mass shooting in Las Vegas. That's kind of amazing because she said they were probably Republicans and
they're gun toter Republicans.
Gun toters, yeah.
That's country music fans. So every country music fan has been insulted, and they ought to take action.
Wow, I tell you, that just shows you what we're up against. So, and this says, Jesus, this is the name above every name, the name that makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. opens prison doors and sets the captives free. So everybody needs a Jesus bumper sticker. You can put it on the back window behind the driver and tape it up there or put it on your bumper, whatever. 895-5025, and call them right now is the time to do it. Leave your name, address, phone number, and if possible, your email address, because guess what? We want to stay in touch with people that believe in America, believe in freedom. This guy, Stephen Paddock, they're saying that he converted to Islam, and that's part of the reason that he's gone off the deep end and started killing people. It seems to me that people that are not strong in their faith are subject to that kind of
exactly, and this has been
falling away.
This has been one of the major problems of trying to attack Christianity at every level.
Yeah.
You cannot say prayers in school. You cannot say them at athletic events.
Yeah.
But at the same time, schools are having to put prayer rooms for Muslims.
Jeez,
and this is a constant attack on Christianity at every level. And even the ministers are being coerced and threatened with the removal of their tax-exempt status and all of these things. They are no longer comfortable with speaking from the pulpit the things that they should have been telling the Christians every day.
Exactly. Now, here, I'm not sure which way I should hold this, probably both ways. But the thing is, this is part of a book from Answers in Genesis, Ken Ham's organization that put together the Creation Museum and the Noah's Ark display. And Senate Bill 17 recently passed, which means you can talk about God in Kentucky schools now and even use the Bible. So we would like to get you a copy of this program so you can use it in your Sunday school class, your youth class, and try to get it into the public schools. Really get the Word of God back into the children. Like you were saying, a lot of the problem is that people have not been strong in their faith, and that's made them susceptible to getting into Islam and other false doctrines. And we need to try to overcome that. Give us a call. Oh, I want to say one other thing about this. This is the Jesus video. The Jesus video. This is in 24 different languages, including English. And this is free. We'll send this to you free. It's the birth, the life, the crucifixion, and the resurrection, and the soon return of the Lord Jesus. And it's free, and it is a very powerful DVD. So we'll send that to you. The number to call is 895-5025. Don't just sit there. Become activated and get involved, and we can do it, and you can do it, and we can take our country back. And with God's help, we can take our children back,